This thing's so heavy. If that thing comes over and smacks that pole and bends it, we're going to be in a world of hurt.
The majority of the time that I get to work on oaks in an oak woodland of sorts are really not a native oak woodland as much as they are an environment where people live. And when you have people mixed with trees, you end up with lots and lots of wounds. See, there's so many things that I can say are wrong with these trees, but let's just go on a little journey here. There's a cable up there. Somebody must have recognized a weakness. This tree over here, you can see that a long time ago somebody used spurs on it. That's a very amateurish way to prune a tree. It's fine if you're going to remove a tree, but years ago that was an accepted practice, and unfortunately there are still people today that think it's just fine. I hear people say it doesn't hurt the tree; it's just in the bark. The tree heals itself and it'll be fine. But granted, it if you can't climb the tree without spurs, you might want to think about a different career. So let's take a look at some of these other trees around here. Most of these trees are in the 40 to 50, maybe 60-year-old range. It's a tight little forest, and you can see a lot of wounds there. And if you look really closely at a lot of those wounds, you can see that the center is hollowed out. Just because they've closed up does not mean that they're okay. Now this is an interesting branch. This branch kind of has a twist to it. And let's look at it from the other side. You can see how it kind of grows and rotates. And that's because the length of the foliage and the way that the branch has grown, it's constantly being blown in the wind and twisting. But if I'm going to talk about any trees, I want to talk about this one. I've actually featured this tree in the past, and this is the grandmother of all grandmother oak trees, live oak. This is probably the biggest live oak I have ever seen. And it's easily 6 feet across at the base. A long time ago, this used to be part of a convent, and there are posts supporting many of the portions of this tree. Now, there's a lot of problems, including this one big limb that has broken and is on the ground. So today's topic is about what we ended up doing to remove this one limb without making things worse. It was a tough job. I'm showing you a lot of the footage here of the overall picture so you can get an idea. But that limb, it's hard to tell because I'm a ways back, but that limb is just enormous. It is so heavy. So my big difficulty here is getting this down safely without slamming into that pole. I did not want to bend that support. That's interesting. There's a big area way up high and I couldn't see where that came from, but clearly something fell out of the top of the tree not that long ago. There's a lot of deadwood, a lot of decay, a lot of rotten spots. There's a huge limb up high that split. So I want you to take notice of where this limb is attached because it ripped almost all the way through. So it's hanging on, and it is going to be a very precarious cut because what I was doing was I was making small cuts and kind of walking it in. My idea was to try to stand it upright and get it into a position where the butt end was not going to swing down and hit that pole. But you can see I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Can't really replace that pole. It's been there forever. That pole's probably been there for 50 years. This thing's so heavy. If that thing comes over and smacks that pole and bends it, we're going to be in a world of hurt. Not that the tree's going to fall down, but how do we fix that pole? If I make the first small cut and it comes over a little bit, it's going to stand up more. But the closer we do that, then it brings it more in line with falling on the pole here. I think it's going to rip off. It's right on the verge of breaking. If I make a big cut up high, oh, I can hear it cracking. This is a really sketchy cut here. That's right on the verge of breaking. It's barely hanging in there. We hear it cracking. I'm afraid if I make one more cut here, this whole thing's going to fall on the pole. I don't want to damage that pole. Just a regular rope. It hasn't sunk in the ground real hard, so it still may be supporting some weight up there. Let's see if I can put a rope around that and see if we can pull it. I doubt that we can, but if I can get it over that way a little bit more, then it's got more of a angle fall away from the pole rather than into it. I'm not going to be able to move that. It's just barely hanging on there. I can see it moving. I can see it cracking and peeling. I just don't want it to hit that. It's too heavy, and as soon as it starts moving, it's going to do what it wants to do. So if I come in from this side, it's going to go like this. If I come up from underneath, it's going to go like that. And it's going to go down.
How do you cut it? The higher thing this way?
If I cut it really high, it might swing over and drop.
Drop and push way.
Maybe.
It's gonna go boom. The way is gonna run. That's what I will do.
That's what you would do? Cut it right about here, huh?
Yeah. That was gonna scream inside, and then the top is gonna fall this way.
So there you heard some of our discussion. We talked about this for probably a half an hour, and every idea we came up with had a different sort of a consequence. So I also have the fear of this thing falling down on me. While I'm working, if it gives way, then I've got several tons of weight coming down on top of me, and I have to get out of the way quickly. Now just go ahead and watch. You'll see what I did. So I'm undercutting here, and it's a big heavy saw, so undercutting in this position is a little awkward, and it's going kind of slow actually. Saw is sharp, but it's just an awkward positioning. So what I want this to do is when I get to the end is I want it to slowly start cracking and moving forward.
Those fibers are really tenuous. Maybe if I cut this off, maybe it'll hold it.
Looks like guys holding it.
Sketchy place to be standing. Okay, I went over and pushed on it just a little bit. The whole thing ripped off and fell down. I did not have my camera running. Damn it. Almost got me. Oh, man. Lunchtime. It was rotten down there.
Blair, with the cleanup, I don't think that we're gonna have time to cut any more on this tree.
Now, I shot this in vertical format because I thought I'd use it for a short, but I think it's important to include this. This tree fell down, and there is a significant Ganoderma conch, a mushroom, at the base of the tree. And you see all that white stuff? Those are the spores that it's putting out right now. And you can also see the white rot and the decayed root structure of this tree. But the foliage on the tree was full and green. So there was enough of a root system to support the vigor of the foliage, but the structural integrity of the root system was going away. So we had a tree that, had you not gone up and looked at it closely and seen the issues at the base, you might have said that the tree is okay.